Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The coroner is probing the death of a Warrane man last year after manslaughter charges were dropped against his housemate. At the first day of the inquest, witnesses described the abusive relationship between the pair and say his family hoped to find closure.
A devastated family outside Hobart Coroner's Court clutching a photo of Paul Thompson, who's now just a memory.
Paul was always our little brother, and we loved him and we miss him.
His sister describing Mr Thompson as a charismatic character, but who had endured a lion's share of life's challenges, including losing 3 children.
Finally found a peace, some peace and some safety for himself. And that was, torn apart by what happened.
On the 21st of January last year, the 57-year-old was found dead in his Warrane unit. His housemate and friend Lawrence Keane was charged with manslaughter, pleading not guilty. He spent months in prison before the charges were dropped and he was released. Counsel assisting said this inquest will focus on 4 different causes of death identified by a forensic psychologist. The first witness, a close friend of Mr Thompson, describing the relationship between the pair as abusive, saying he'd often see bruises on his friend's face caused by Mr Keane. He told the inquest he tried to convince Mr Thompson to kick out Mr Keane, saying, "You've got to get him out, he's going to end up killing you, Paul." Neighbours also giving evidence. Yvonne Callis saying she'd seen Mr Keane act violently towards Mr Thompson, with another neighbour reporting hearing a loud thump inside his unit the night of Mr Thompson's death. Coroner Olivia McTaggart saying she suspects the cause of death is homicide, but because that hasn't been directly proven, there's a mandatory requirement for an inquest to take place. A number of witnesses are expected to take the stand over the next 2 days, including investigating officers and Lawrence Keane.
I can't have closure without justice for him.
Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
A 20-year-old Burnie man has become the 5th Tasmanian this year to contract potentially deadly Menninger cockle. The man is undergoing treatment at the Northwest Regional Hospital after being diagnosed with a B strain of the disease. Public health authorities have been in touch with his close contacts and are urging anyone with symptoms of fever, headaches and confusion to seek urgent medical attention. A statewide ban on growing genetically modified produce has been extended by 10 years in an effort to preserve Tasmania's clean, green image. It's an announcement overwhelmingly supported by producers who say the state's GMO-free food is more in demand than ever right across the globe.
The Premier trying his hand with Tasmania's world-renowned produce. Our goods considered more valuable in some markets because of our ban on genetically modified foods. That ban now extended for another decade.
In terms of promoting and selling clean, natural products to a mature market, or in export markets and domestic, that this decision goes a long way to supporting farmers.
The plan overwhelmingly supported by industry today.
What better way to experience a Tasmanian brand through engaging with fresh Tasmanian produce, and we do believe that this is a competitive point of difference to take to the market.
But the government also faced a grilling of a different kind in Parliament. Labor questioning the state's direction for trades training, calling for an overhaul of TasTAFE as the building boom suffers a lack of skilled workers.
They have had a significant interest in construction courses, but not enough staff to run them. The students who can't get into the construction course are encouraged to apply for other courses in electrotech and plumbing, which also are not being run.
We'll continue to invest more into TasTAFE as we do in this budget, and to work with industry to make sure that their needs are met as well.
Meanwhile, in Parliament, Legislative Councillor Ivan Dean has postponed his idea to ban the sale of tobacco to those aged under 21. But he says he's not giving up on the ambitious plan.
I'm not prepared to sit back and not take this matter forward in the best way possible, and to ensure that I get the support that it needs in the Parliament.
Planning to reintroduce the proposal next month. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Police have confirmed a body found at Bridgewater yesterday is that of missing man Gatbell Gatwidge. An extensive land and air search had been undertaken by police to look for the 33-year-old. Emergency crews later found the body on the banks of the Jordan River. Police say there are no suspicious circumstances and a report will be prepared for the coroner. Planning is underway for a new $50 million private hospital in Hobart. A development application has been lodged for a 4-storey building on this new town site. The facility would house a short-stay hospital run by Nexus Hospitals, with 6 operating theatres and a 24-bed ward. The developers say the project is expected to be completed in 2021 and employ 130 people. A controversial auction of Nazi memorabilia has gone ahead in Launceston. 2 belt buckles bearing swastikas and an SS ring fetched more than $2,000. The items went under the hammer to 2 separate buyers. Premier Will Hodgman says he's unhappy with the sale.
There is no breach of the law here with respect to the sale of these products, but I do think it breaches community standards and expectations.
In a statement, Armitage Auctions said the majority of buyers collected the items for historical reasons and not to spread hate, adding it has sold similar memorabilia for the past 30 years. Tasmanian researchers have uncovered another mystery of the devil facial tumour disease. In an unexpected discovery, they've found a second variation of the cancer originated from the same type of cell as the first strain.
This cell type surrounds the nerves and makes sure that the signal is sent along the nerves within the body.
Both strains are believed to be spread by devils biting the faces of other devils. Researchers are hopeful this new information will speed up the process of creating an effective vaccine and cure. Heritage rail campaigners and cyclists have been told to share a coveted former train line in the state's northeast. A parliamentary inquiry has backed a compromise for the disused tracks, but it's still uncertain if the debate has reached the end of the line.
Build a bike trail or return to rail? That's the question still dividing the northeast. Now a parliamentary inquiry has told the community to do both.
Obviously, everyone won't be happy with our recommendations, but somewhere along the line people have to work together.
The final report assessed the viability of both ideas and has thrown support behind Heritage Rail making a comeback from Launceston to Lilydale, while giving the green light to a cycling track from Lilydale Falls to Scottsdale.
If you were a tourist, you could get on the train in Launceston, put your bike on, get to Lilydale, have a lovely time in Lilydale and then start riding.
The Dorset Council has been pushing for bikes but says it's happy with the compromise.
Realistically, it should have been up and going and there should have been people riding into Scottsdale 2 years ago. That's how long the process has taken. But we would hope to build it in 12 months.
There are concerns a $1.4 million federal grant for the bike track won't be able to be spent by deadline.
Well, all the invoices have to be in by the 31st of March 2020. And that funding stream has ceased, so whether we can still access that money remains to be seen.
The Launceston and North East Railway Group insist they've raised the money and have the volunteers to make their plan happen. They were unavailable for comment today. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Hairdressing students are trying to prove they're a cut above the rest at TasTAFE's annual competition. Dozens of budding stylists demonstrated their creative flair at the event, which is in honour of former student Natalie Pern.
Concentration was at an all-time high as these TasTAFE students worked their magic. They hairspray combed and curled their way to the top.
It's pretty stressful. We only had 2.5 hours to get them washed, blow-dried and then styled. But yeah, it was good.
More than 50 students competed at TasTAFE's Allenvale campus this morning.
Judges are looking for creativity. They're looking that they've actually used accessories but haven't covered more than a third of their head, that they have done their research and to make sure that they're doing something that hasn't been in fashion in the last 12 months.
Budding hairdressers showed off their creative flair.
I've gone for quite a sophisticated look, more of like an evening going out sort of look. So I've got like a slick bun and then a front like Hollywood wave.
It was like an electrocated look. So the end of my hair was really, really fuzzy and then the top was really slick back, and then I put a couple of bobby pins just down the side there.
The competition started 7 years ago in memory of former TAFE hairdressing student Natalia Pern, who was killed in a car crash in 2013.
She was very inspirational, she was bright, happy, and she loved to compete in competitions. So the student in the top stylist gets to have Natalia's lovely trophy in their salon for 12 months.
Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian duo is hoping to shed light on mental health when they premiere their show later this week. The contemporary dance performance, Absence of Light, has been 6 years in the making. It aims to break down stigma around mental health issues.
That creates empathy for people that maybe don't know or don't experience that sort of thing, and also it creates connection so that we're breaking down any isolation that might be experienced or felt around mental health.
The show will run at Launceston's Earl Arts Centre from tomorrow until Saturday.
As anticipation builds ahead of the annual Relive the Rivalry charity football match in Hobart, its organiser is calling out for help, revealing that the future of the event is at risk. With 3 sponsors pulling out in recent weeks, he's desperately seeking support to keep the tradition alive.
It is disappointing, but it's not all doom and gloom. We've still got a fortnight where we have an opportunity to try and drum up some support from hopefully local businesses around Hobart.
The Relive the Rivalry game showcases TSL, VFL and AFL legends playing together this year to raise funds for Give Me 5 for Kids.
12 degrees today in Hobart and Burnie. Launceston and Devonport had a top of 13 degrees. The state's top temperature was 15 today at Friendly Beaches, 13 degrees for Smithton, Fingal, Campania and St Helens, 12 degrees for Grove, Cressy, Lowhead, Bushy Park and Ouse, 12 also for the Bass Strait Islands with 11 for Scottsdale. On the charts, low level cloud over most of the state today. Further out, you can see the low just south of Tasmania, similar conditions over South Australia, low cloud affecting New South Wales and Queensland. Tomorrow shows a complex area of low pressure moving around the state. Associated cold fronts and troughs affect Victoria, South Australia and New South Wales also. Northwest to northeasterly winds 10 to 20 knots, more westerly about the east at first and the north later on, reaching up to 30 knots further offshore, with seas between 1 and 2 metres. There's a strong wind warning current for northwestern and northeastern coastal waters, and there's also a road weather alert warning of ice on susceptible roads tomorrow morning. Cloudy in the south, 11 for Hobart, Cygnet and New Norfolk. 9 degrees the top for Launceston and Devonport, 8 at Campbelltown, showers throughout. Showers through the west, 9 in Burnie, 10 for Strawn, 11 degrees at Smithton, with 9 degrees expected for St Helens, 11 for Swansea and 8 degrees for Fingal, some early frost there. Showers for Friday, mostly clearing from the north during the morning. Showers for Saturday, lighter through the north, with similar forecast again on Sunday. Taking a look at your capital cities now, 18 degrees tomorrow in Perth, showers for Adelaide and Melbourne, 13, 10 for Canberra, Sydney 21 degrees and mostly sunny with 28 at the top in Brisbane and Cairns. And 8 degrees at the moment in Hobart, 7 and clear in Launceston and 8 degrees in Devonport. That is all for your weather tonight, Jo.
Lovely, thank you very much for that, Sam. Well, that's all from the team for now. Have a great evening. We'll see you a bit later with updates, but for now, good night.